What's up, y'all? What's up? Welcome to the Pugilistic Linguistic Show. I am your host, Michael Foster, the voice of reason in an increasingly unreasonable world. And I have returned. I am back. For a kind of off script, off schedule post. Some things have been going on. It's bugging me. So I turned to my microphone therapy to get it off my chest. Before I get started, like I say all the time, like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified when new episodes drop. Help me out. Let's blow this podcast up in 2026. Get it out to the masses. So, there was a player for the Chicago Bulls named Jaden Ivey. They got him this year, traded for him from the Detroit Pistons. He ended up playing like 4 games. I guess he was good. He was like the number 5 overall pick a few years ago. But he only ended up playing 4 games for the Bulls, and they shut him down for the season. So he wasn't all-world with the Bulls. He probably wasn't all-world with the Pistons. That's why they traded him. But recently, he goes on his social media and speaks about the NBA's celebration of Pride Month. Now, I'm not really well versed into the ins and outs of Pride Month, but I believe it's in June. And it's basically celebrating LGBTQIA representation in the United States. And he called it a celebration of unrighteousness. Now, he has every right to believe that. He has the right to feel whatever way he feels about Pride Month, gay people, trans people, whatever. That's his right. But once the Bulls caught wind of this, they cut him. And that sent everybody into an uproar because he has the freedom of speech. Well, first of all, the Chicago Bulls have an image to uphold, regardless of whether they suck or not. They have an image to uphold. They have business interests to protect. The Bulls have gay fans. And how do you think that comes across if they condone one of their players directly disparaging that entire group of people? They know this is detrimental to their bottom line. I'm positive they didn't cut him because of some moral superiority. They cut him because you messing with my money by your statements out loud. And plus, on a different level, he wasn't that good anyway, so I don't think they considered it a loss. But and the reason why I say that, because Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves did something similar to that. I don't know, it was a few years ago, a few months ago. It was a while ago. And all they did was just fine him. Why? Because Anthony Edwards is a superstar. That's the nature of, I guess, sports. If you a star, you get away with more stuff. But if you just barely hanging on to your spot in the first damn place, we can get rid of you. But everybody's up in arms about his so-called freedom of speech, freedom of religion. They can't fire him. It's illegal. He has the freedom to do. See, I wish the people who are quick to quote that amendment would actually read that amendment. The amendment states, and they have 4 or 5 freedoms in the amendment, but the one central to this, well, two actually central to this, Congress can pass no laws abridging the freedom of speech. And it also says Congress cannot establish a national religion or the free exercise thereof. Now, what does that mean? This simply: Congress cannot prosecute you for your speech. Congress cannot pass a law saying you can't talk about the president. You can't talk about Congress. Hell, you can't talk about your baby mama. They can't pass a law saying that. That is abridging free speech. Congress cannot do that. So the only entity that the First Amendment protects you against is Congress. And I guess by extension, the government, to the exclusion of everything else. Meaning, nowhere in that amendment does it say a private entity, a private business cannot punish you for what you say. Nowhere does it say that. There's a freedom of speech. There's not a freedom of consequence of your speech. And far too many people don't understand that. They think I have freedom of speech, so I can do anything I want to at any time and nobody can say anything to me. No, you have the freedom of speech. You can call me the N-word, but you don't have the freedom of me. You don't have the freedom for me hitting you in your damn mouth. There's no freedom from consequences to your speech. The only entity the First Amendment protects you from, or protects, I can't even say that word today, protects you from, is Congress. Read the amendment. It's in the text. It's in black and white. I had this long, lengthy argument with people about his right, Jaden's right to say what he want to say. Yeah, he can say what he want to say, but the bulls can turn around and cut you for it too. They're a private entity. They are not constrained by the laws in that amendment. Now, is it immoral or is it a bad idea for them to do? That's a different conversation for a different day. It's not illegal. That's the point. We're not talking about the bulls here, but what I want to work for a company that restricts my free speech? Probably not. You find another job. But while you in the confines of those 4 walls, you got to watch what you say. Fair or not fair, you're not protected by the First Amendment. The right to the freedom of religion. He can believe what he wants to believe. That's not in question. But the thing about it is, your religion and your religious beliefs can get you in trouble. Whether that's right or not is irrelevant. It's the facts. If you walk through your workplace and spout off to Muslims that saying Jesus is the one and only true God, that gets you in trouble. As well, it probably should. Your right to celebrate or practice or believe in what you believe in, your right does not supersede anybody else's right. We all have the same rights. But the bottom line is, the only thing is Congress cannot pass a law establishing a national religion. Again, the only entity the First Amendment protects you against, I cannot say that word, the only entity that saves you against It's Congress. Read the text. This is what bothers me. It bothers me because everybody's going off of their half-assed interpretations of that amendment. And then when I try to come up and say, just read it, and you tell me what it says, nobody does that. Oh, well, it means no. The Constitution says what it says, and it means what it means, to the exclusion of everything else. If it don't say it, it don't mean it. If it didn't say private businesses, it didn't mean private businesses. It said Congress. And everybody's coming up with their half-ass interpretations of it. And the thing about that is, there is a limit to your free speech. You cannot walk into a crowded theater and yell fire. At that moment, your word becomes action, then there's a problem. So even with that freedom, there's a limit to what you can do. And that relates to a lot of, other things in that Bill of Rights. Most notably, the Second Amendment, which is the biggest clusterfuck out there. And the reason why it's the biggest is because people do not read the text of the amendment. They think they know what it says, so they run off half-cocked about it. I can bear arms. Well, yeah, you can. But what does the text say? That right you keep wrapping yourself in. What does the text say? A well-regulated militia being essential to a free state, Congress cannot pass laws, yada, yada, yada. The right to bear arms and all that good stuff. But the first three words of that amendment, a well-regulated militia, I guess that's 4 words, but well-regulated, yet everybody that's a gun nut is against regulation. Make it make sense. The text says what it says. Why are you against it when it doesn't suit you? If the Constitution says a well-regulated militia, then why can't we regulate the militia? Help me out here. Somebody explain this to me in the comments. I don't want your guns. I don't want your freedom of speech. I don't want your freedom of religion. But just know what the words say. I don't want your guns. I just want to make sure that you are not crazy when you buy an AR-15. And what kills me about it, how that is unreasonable. We don't let crazy people drive cars, but we'll let them buy a gun without a background check, without regulation. Make it make sense. And that's why we're in the shit that we're in these days. Nobody takes the time to read, and everybody likes being told what they believe. I've read the Constitution, back to front. Hell, in school, when I was coming up, we had to remember and recite the preamble. We had a civics class. Y'all know what a civics class is? They probably ain't had civics in school for 20 years. And that's why we're idiots now. I shouldn't say we. That's why they're idiots now. Absolute idiots. because they think they know something, but they've not verified anything. There used to be a little small book of the Constitution that we had in our school. We kind of kept on our, not necessarily kept on our persons at all times, but we had it in our desks. And I'm sure a lot of people my age had that same experience. But now we're bombarded with idiots who think they know something and don't know shit. I'm sick of arguing with people on Facebook who don't understand what the First Amendment truly says, who don't understand what the Second Amendment truly says. And this is why we're in the mess that we're in. Our citizens are not educated. And to go deeper still, this is why they're cutting educational programs in schools to keep these people stupid. Because stupid people are easily manipulated. They're easily frightened because they have no education. They don't think critically. Because if you don't know nothing, what wellspring are you going to default to combat the bullshit you're being told? You don't have one. So you believe it. So understand, you have the freedom to say whatever the hell you want to say, because Congress can pass no laws abridging that right. But nowhere does it say you have a freedom of consequence. You can lose your job. You can lose sponsorships, let's say, if that's your thing. You can also get hit in your damn mouth. There's no freedom from that consequence. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you'll be. I know I got some beliefs that would get me fired in corporate America, so I keep them to myself. And that's another thing. What makes you so self-important that you got to spout your shit to other people? What makes you so special to think that your way is the only way? Let's go with the religion thing. Okay, you're a follower of Christ. Good for you. What makes you think that's the only way? Now, my religious beliefs are irrelevant in this instance. Well, but what makes you think that a Muslim is going to hell because he don't follow Christ? Or a Buddhist? Or a Taoist? Or a Hebrew? Or whatever? What makes you so special? What makes you think I want to hear what you got to say? Jaden Ivey? I don't mind basketball players standing up for social issues. The Black Lives Matter thing and all that stuff, and, whatever else. But I definitely don't want to hear your thoughts on Pride Month. Not because you're just a basketball player and just shut up and play. That's not it. It's because I don't care what you think. Because I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe, keep it to yourself. The same way I keep mine to myself. You don't see me trying to convert him over to Pride Month and all that stuff. Why the hell would I care what you think? We're so self-important now, and I think it's the rise of social media. Everybody thinks they are influencers, and everybody thinks that everybody wants to hear what they got to say. Don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of it too. But y'all want to hear what I got to say. I'm just kidding. I'm guilty of it too. And sometimes I need to be told, don't nobody care. And I got to eat that. The same way you do. The same way he does. The same way she does. Sometimes we don't want to hear what you got to say. Especially on touchy subjects. So yeah, he got cut. Yeah, the Bulls had every right to do so. No, it's not illegal. Get over it. So I just had to come out here and say that. Read. Damn it, read. It don't cost you nothing. Education and knowledge is still free, y'all. It don't cost you nothing. And in the information age, ignorance is a choice. Read. So the last thing I told this one cat I was arguing with on Facebook, just read the amendment, come back and tell me what it says. How much you want to bet I won't hear a word back from him? Oh, well, he shouldn't lose his job. Well, maybe not, but he can, and that's the point. So anyway, that's all I had to say. I just had to get that off my chest. It was brewing on my head. Now I can relax in peace. So like I said before, as always, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell when I drop new episodes. And like I say all the time, until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other, because you all you got. Peace.